Hello again, everyone. I'm Matt Yocum. Welcome to another edition of the IMSA Endurance Hour podcast. Now, a little bit of a combo platter for this show. We're going to catch up later with Tom Gamble, who walked away with a championship point lead for Harder Racing, and Aston Martin with a P2 finish at Sebring. But first, we're going to catch up with a UK native, fast on track, but loves to slow down on the farm. Let's catch up with Nick Yelloly. Now, last summer, we had Renger van de Zande on the show, and everybody talks about how busy he is with all the different areas that he dabbles in away from the racetrack, as well as an insurance company and everything else. But I don't know anybody who is more busier throughout the racing season than Nick Yelloly, his teammate on the 93 at Acura, Meyer Shank Racing. So first, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Glad you could swing by. We love to do deep dives into different areas that the fans just get so intrigued about, the stories that are away from the racetrack. But first, I would say, and Renger told me, that you're even busier than he is.
Well, I mean, he has a real job as well, running his insurance company, and I mean, he's selling it here, there, and everywhere all the time. But yeah, I would say racing-wise, definitely. Got 3 or 4 programs in conjunction with each other, and then the simulator program as well. So yeah, non-stop. But yeah, I may as well do it while I can.
Are you OCD about your schedule, who your travel coordinator is, all the work that goes into? Do you color coordinate the different areas?
Yeah. So I have a calendar for each series that I'm doing. So obviously everything IMSA and IMSA related, then ELMS related, the simulator related, and then I have another program at the Nürburgring Nordschleife this year on top of that. So everything's color coordinated and in file, but that's the only thing I'm really particular about, because I think you have to be, otherwise you'll just miss stuff.
When you look at what you've got going on in 2026, walk fans through what a normal month or a week would be like for you, because I saw your phone and it looks like a box of Crayolas with all the different colors designated for what area you're working with that day.
Yeah, I mean, once the season gets underway, it's really busy. It depends if it's a US or a Europe race, of course. European travel is much easier. It's only a few hours, whereas coming over here can be, if we're going to LA, it's a 12-hour flight. If it's to Sebring, it's an 8 or a 9-hour flight on the way out. So it will consist of, depending if I need to go to Indianapolis first before we come here for the simulator at HRC. If that's the case, I'll fly on a Monday, be in the simulator on a Tuesday, and then come to the circuit on the Wednesday and spend Wednesday through Sunday at the track, and then fly back Sunday night or Monday. If it's a European race, then usually I'll have some simulator work for Aston Martin Formula 1 team during the Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll fly Tuesday night because we already test sometimes on the Wednesday, and then the rest of the week there, but I'll always get home and be in my own bed, thankfully, on the Sunday night. And then in the first part of the season, it tends to be the busiest. You've got your big races, your Nürburgring 24, you've got Le Mans 24, and then you've got some sprint races that are really packed through the first 6 months as well in IMSA, and of course all the European races. So it's a bit crazy. I don't get to spend that much time at home in the first 6 months, but yeah, I mean, I love it.
Bouncing around between the different simulators, I talked to several different folks within your team, but also your competitors, and they feel like your acclimation process is so impressive. As far as your speed, you always have speed, make so few mistakes. Do you feel like jumping from discipline to discipline, it makes you that much better of a race car driver with your racecraft?
Yeah, I think it helps a little bit. I remember I started to do it already when I was in Porsche Carrera Cup back in 16 and 17 when I moved over to GTs, and I was still doing at the time it was Force India's sim work. It's all the same team now. But it was very different, obviously, driving a Formula 1 car in the simulator, then jumping on the same track that I was, they were racing on that weekend in Porsche Super Cup and driving, a Carrera Cup car. So I learned quite quickly then on how to do it. And I think as Max Verstappen's proving, the good guys tend to be able to jump in and just drive whatever, whenever. And I think it's a good skill to have, because you learn one thing that you say in a GT car that might help me in my GTP car, and another thing in a GTP that might help me in the GTs. So I think the more I can do and explore with different driving styles and disciplines, it's just more information for my brain to take in and be able to go in the toolbox and use.
Kids will ask me all the time, hey, I'm in college. Can you give me some advice on getting into broadcasting? I want to do what you do. And I said, here's the thing. You can talk to every pit lane reporter across the globe, and everyone will tell you their path was completely different than the other folks because it's life situations, it's where you grew up, what you have available.
Sure.
And for you, unlike the norm, it seems like you were a late starter in karts. What, 14?
No, later. It was 2 months before my 16th birthday, actually. So, yeah, very, very late. I was very sporty, always have been. So I played every sport, rugby, golf, football, soccer, everything I could, cricket, at a relatively decent level. So I think hand-eye coordination was already pretty solid. And, yeah.
And you had the competitive spirit already because you're playing all the different stick and balls.
Exactly. So it was all already ingrained. My mom and dad were both very sporty as well, so I think it came from them, and at pretty high levels in both their disciplines. So for me, it was quite a natural thing just to be competitive in sport. And then when I jumped in a go-kart at a go-karting party, it just seemed to come relatively natural. And the guy there at the time, I still remember his name. He's called Alan at Mr. Karting in a place called Leamington in the UK. Said I should try outdoor karting, so the proper karting, two-stroke and proper karts, and he organised the day, and that day actually went really well as well. And then it was just trying to beg my dad as much as I could to actually try and race, and I did my first racing season at the age of 16.
So you're almost 16, and people will always say there's always a moment in their career, no matter what the career is, as you're going up the ladder, that if a certain wrong did not happen, the rest never would have taken place. So if you hadn't gone to a go-karting party with your buddies,
then I would have never have raced. No, that's for sure. But you have a couple of those, I think, as you're coming up through the ranks of, it could have, coulda, shoulda, woulda, all that. But the biggest one for me was we'd kind of already started. It's so expensive, and now it's tenfold compared to when I was 17, 18, wanting to go to cars. But yeah, there was a point after I'd done pretty well in World Series Renault, raced the likes of Jules Bianchi, Robin Frines, Da Costa, all these, big names, that we'd ran out of money, and it was just trying to, tread water and see if I could get into the pro ranks. But at the end of 2015, it all stopped for me. I was ready, and I knew I was going to have to get a proper job, let's say, and started working in some property deals, and my dad's in property, so I was able to try and lean on him. And I had a call from an old engineer that said, look, I'm at a Porsche Carrera Cup team now. They want to take a single-seater star and make them a GT driver, come to Lohna in Germany and do a simulator day. And I went out with him, flew from Stansted Airport. Richard Selwyn, his name is, and he actually, for the real motorsport fans, he co-owned iSport GP2 team when Timo Glock was there, and we went. The simulator day went well. I was quite handy on simulators already at that point, and they signed me that afternoon and paid for everything but my flights. So that saved my career. Without that, I was done.
That's got to be a ton of pressure on you, knowing, okay, this phone call, this could be the last opportunity, and you've got to capitalize even more.
Sure.
Did you even sleep the night before? I mean, did you feel the pressure, or were you able to compartmentalize it so you could focus and not have, like, this could be a career, a life-changing day for me?
Sure. I mean, I knew it was important, but I think you've spent that many times, or you've done it that many times where the pressure's been high, starting a race and knowing if you crash you can't race again because you haven't got the money to repair it, stuff like that. From, say, earlier in my junior career was higher pressure than going to a simulator day when I thought it was already over. So unfortunately I knew Richard well, so I was going with someone that I knew well, and we got on. But once they signed me, I knew that at that point I needed to try and get on top of. I'd come from GP2 Formula 2 to a GT car with no ABS, no traction control, and completely different, roof over my head. I'd never driven anything like it. So I knew it was going to be tough. And the first, 4 to 6 months was really difficult. And I've got a good story about that. I was teammates with him later. Philip Eng was a BMW driver at the time, but he'd raced for this team in Porsche Super Cup and won the championship for them. And I begged my team boss at the time to say, can you just put 2 seats in this Carrera Cup car? Because I was struggling. And can you call Philip? I didn't know him well at the time. And I'm going to sit next to him in Oschersleben, and I'm going to watch how the champ does it. So he came one morning, and I just sat next to him and watched how he drove this Carrera Cup car, because it's a very specific where to drive it. And from that day after, my result, I can look at something and copy it very well, and I could do it. So actually, Philip on my GT career at the time really helped me in Porsches.
But that's just a lot of respect that Philip had towards you, because so often you'll talk to a driver, look, it's called trade secrets.
Yeah.
You don't want to give away what you don't have to give away. Even if they're a teammate, yeah, there's certain rules.
Yeah.
But what was that like, and what did you pick up from him sitting in a two-seater?
Yeah, I mean, just the way he manipulated a Carrera Cup car. Like I say, if you haven't driven one, particularly in 16, 17, they were very specific to get the real lap time out of a car. And I was struggling, not so much in the races, but getting that peak performance on new tyres. And it was just about how he used the brakes in particular. And so I could ask a few questions. Like I said, I didn't really know him at the time, but it was funny. We became teammates. We won, Spa 24 together afterwards, and we're still very, very good friends. Like one of my closer friends in the sport. So, it's funny how life works. But yeah, he helped me a lot that year, and then we got some podiums at the end of the year, and the trajectory really took off after that.
What a road to get to IMSA. What a path to 2026.
Yep.
But when you teamed up at Acura Meyer Shank Racing with Renger van de Zande, you guys didn't really have a lot of time together previously. So did you guys go away on like a driver bonding trip, or did you do anything to try to help speed up the friendship, which always helps the chemistry behind the wheel?
Yeah, so I first met Renger in 2009 when he was driving for High-Tech in Formula 3 and I was doing 2-litre Renault. So I knew who he was, but we weren't, particularly close. We'd race against each other. I thought he was a great racing driver, a great racer, which he is. So I had a lot of respect for him. Before we knew in the middle of the year that it was a possibility we would be teammates, so we were talking more then. And then actually before we first tested here, we had a kind of an unexpected night out in Miami, which was very funny, and a good bonding, let's say, evening. But that was really good fun. And that was about it. He's very easy to get on with, really. As long as you can cope with him flying and selling insurance here and then going and doing something else, which is fine. I find it funny. When it comes down to it, he's very serious and a great teammate. So I've really enjoyed my time with him.
So how do you make him better with your racecraft, and how does he make you better? Because so often you'll have teammates that they offset, certain strengths and weaknesses, which make them together, such a lethal pairing.
Yeah, I mean, the way he's super experienced over in IMSA, and the way he goes about getting on it on new circuits or each time you go back to each circuit, I think is very impressive. He's very calm, actually, particularly in race situations, so that's nice just to be around a calming influence. Anyway, I am pretty calm myself, but to have two people on the same path is nice. And then I delve maybe more into the data a little bit more and like the nitty-gritty kind of stuff, and then if I see something that both of us can benefit, I'll ask him what he thinks, and usually we're on the same page. So I think we feed off each other very well, and it's just a good partnership to be involved in.
So I went through the paddock, and I always try to key in on a couple of different people, and I say, hey, you spent time racing against people. What are your thoughts looking from the outside looking in? And I talked to Nicky Katzberg, and he said, and everybody said almost the same first line, great guy. Impressive behind the wheel. But Nicky said, I'm going to tell you, everybody stood back and went, wow, when he qualified in the rain at the Nürburgring. And you put it on pole?
Yeah, that was the year after we won it together. Myself and Nicky won the race in 2020. And then I qualified every year, I think, but I qualified in 21. And we hadn't had any rain all that week, or the lead up, and it monsooned it down just before, so we bolted wets on and off we went. I knew I had to really, I would say put it on the line, particularly at that circuit, and it was aquaplaning everywhere. It was very treacherous, and we ended up putting it on pole by, I think, 2.5 or 3 seconds, which was obviously a huge gap, and it was, one of those laps that I'll remember forever, and it was a sketchy lap, but actually when you watch it on board afterwards, you just think, really, did I take that much risk? But you've got a job to do, and it's quite easy to compartmentalize once you've done it a while, just to take the brain out and do it on feel and talent, I guess.
With your home in IMSA, what do you love best about this culture? Because when you go through the paddock, and everybody will start to just unload about how much they love racing over here. Wish they had even more races.
Yep.
But what do you love most about IMSA?
I think the shock for me with IMSA was how open people are as drivers as well. You know, obviously we jump in the car and we're very warrior-like, and we fight and we touch wheels and we race really hard, but you can go to anyone and have a genuine conversation and you're actually interested. You know, everyone gets on. So there's a more of a open, friendly atmosphere, I would say, in the IMSA paddock in terms of drivers and driving than I was used to in Europe, particularly, you know, single seaters and single driver pairing stuff. And I would stick to that. I still do some stuff in Europe. When you come here, it's very relaxed, and you can just be yourself, and everyone gets on. That's what I enjoy about coming over here.
You look at your career and you go through different stages, but also there's the personal side, which also impacts the work side. And drivers will say when they've got a really good balance in life, and quite often it takes them a while to find the balance because they're either all in on one side and then the other side pays the price, or vice versa. Coming up on 2 years with Emma?
Yep.
How did you two meet?
Yeah, so we met actually when Emma was, and I was young as well. We met through my younger sister. She was at college with my younger sister. And we met, my sister Sophie brought her out for a dinner when we were visiting at college in Gloucester. And that was it really. From there on, we started talking a little bit. It actually annoyed my sister at the start, so I backed away. I didn't want to obviously offend my family too much, but at that point I knew I really liked her. So we started exploring, trying to be together at that point. I mean, we've actually been together now. It will be coming up total, I think it's 14 years this year, in August. So yeah, we've been married almost 2, but been together a long time since we were both very young, really. And yeah, that's how we met. And she likes the racing only when I'm involved. Otherwise, she couldn't really care less, if I'm honest. But she's here this weekend actually, and it'll be nice to have her around.
So was it one of those chance meetings where you didn't really know she was going to be there and you met her when you were visiting? And what your sister, was she like, oh my God, now he wants to come back to college and have dinner again?
Exactly. Yeah, I tried to meet a few times, and then obviously we met separately to my sister as well, and my sister found out, and they get on very well. They were best friends at the time, and now they're still very good friends after all, which was great. So it all worked out in the end, which I'm happy about.
So when you check out from the day job and your 27 different colors in your calendar, what do you like to do at home? You guys are out in the country?
Yep.
You've got a farm or a ranch?
Yeah, so Emma's family are farmers, and we live on the back of the farm. Actually, we bought a house that's very close to her dad's farm. And I spend most of my time, if I'm honest, shoveling horse poo to another areas in the freezing cold and in the rain, walking the dogs or walking out with the horses. And I love it. It's just away from the chaos of, airports and travel. And then because I'm in the country, I can get out and run, miles and not really see anyone, go out early in the morning, and it's quite quiet. So yeah, it's very, very different kind of life. But yeah, most of my life away from it is literally shoveling horse poo.
So you're driving tractors, you're dealing with manure.
Yep.
Is that like the perfect way to completely do a mental reset, because it's polar opposite of everything else you deal with, which is your pressure day job?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's just nice to be outside all the time as well, even if the weather in the UK can be a bit, terrible sometimes, particularly in the winter. But then when it comes to the summer and it's starting to get better weather now, it's lovely. The horses will stay out and sleep out at night, so there's not much or as much stuff to do with them, and then shoveling the manure around. But it's just nice to get away. You can go walking on the farm, not see anyone. You can go running early. It's nice weather in the summer, even though some people won't believe that in the UK. It's just a complete different world to what we're used to, which is nice.
So besides your love for manure
Yep.
and cleaning out stalls, do you have a passion as far as collecting anything?
Watches. Yeah, that's a bad or good depending on how you buy them, but watches is my thing. I've loved them since I can remember, and I try and do my best to get a nice watch collection, which is good because my teammate can insure them, which is great. And also,
Does he give you a discount?
I'd like to think so, but yeah, no, of course he does. Yeah. Mates rates, let's say. And there's a couple of other drivers that are very much into it. It's cars and watches usually.
So is that what you do? You get with certain guys that, because I do helmets.
Sure.
And so I've got, pals, and we're like, hey, check this one out, whatever. So your pals that are into watch collecting, you guys do a lot of group texting, hey, check out what I just bought, or hey, look what I found. I don't need it, I already got one, but are you guys interested? Is that sort of the feel of dive into that culture?
Yeah, exactly. And I have some people, or some good friends, or have become good friends due to the fact I've bought some watches from them, that are, very open about, it's a good buy, it's not a good buy, or getting me a great deal on something. And then I have some good relationships with the authorized dealers where I'm able to get the watches I want, and I try and wear them. It's not like they stay in a safe, particularly, only at home. So it's the thing I've always loved more than collecting cars. Put it that way. I like the watches.
Do you like classic?
Everything, if I'm honest. There's the big three brands that you go and try and collect to start with, but yeah, I really, really appreciate any. I like the vintage. I want to get a Rolex Submariner of my birth date, and I want to sort that out. But yeah, anything and everything I'm interested in wearing.
Well, I've got the two-tone Submariner.
Yep.
And I got it for my 21st birthday.
Sure.
So, of course, it's only about 4 years old.
Yeah.
But I posed this question to Renger, and I said, one of the all-time classic movies here in the States, and as much flying back and forth as you do, you might watch movies to kill time or whatever, and I said Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. And he's like, I've never seen it. Tell me about it. I said, well, there's this rodent, and Bill Murray, he relives the same day over and over. And he's like, the little furry man? I go, yeah, the little furry man guy. And so if you could take a day in your life, whether it's your racing career or something away from the track, but if you could relive the same day over and over again like it was the first time.
It was the first time. There'd probably have to be two separate ones. So in racing world, it would probably be the day I got told I was going to be a factory driver. Just because you've waited for that break for so long, you've been doing is trying to get to that point. And it was when I'd flown over to BMW and met with, at the time it was Mike Crack, who's now, funnily enough, at Aston Martin in Formula 1. So we still work together, but he gave me my first contract back then, end of 2018. So I remember that being a huge break, and I would want to relive that. And then my wedding day as well, of course, for the personal life. That was very special. Everyone that you love in one place. A great day, and I don't drink so often, but I did that day, and it was fun.
So your first day behind the wheel of the Acura.
Yep.
To now, can you describe the fun and just the building process of you getting acclimated to that car, you and Renger building it into a winner like last year and being a championship contender, just the fun meter involved with that project?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, working with the guys and girls both at HRC and Meyer Shank Racing is a joy. Nothing's too big of a chore. Nothing is ever too much to ask. And I think we feed off each other in that sense. We try as hard as we can. We try and make everything as easy and smooth, and they do equally the same on the other side. Driving for Mike is awesome. He's a real racer. He's a killer, which I love. He really wants to win. I feel like as much as I do, which is quite rare for a team boss in my opinion. So I love driving for him, and I've really enjoyed my time. And of course with Renger, he only wants to win as well. So we're good there, and we can have some great fun outside of the circuit as well. I've known Tom Blomqvist since he came over to the UK to race 2-litre Renaults when he was 16. So I've known him a long time. Colin's a great guy. So we spend a lot of time eating ice cream when we've had a hard day or a hot day behind the wheel, finding new coffee spots and playing golf or whatever. So it's the best job in the world, I have to say. It's awesome.
So that's your day car.
Yep.
What was your very first car when you were licensed to go out on the road?
A Renault Clio. Yep. So I was very fortunate. My dad bought me my first car, and then after that I had to trade into what I needed to have. But I had a Renault Clio, a red one. I actually didn't pass my test first time.
Really?
No, I did not. I failed. And
what part did you fail?
I mean, everyone's going to say it was your fault. So I was very aware of a horse trailer coming from a dual carriageway from the right lane to the left. So I avoided him in a smooth manner, and the guy said I should have braked harder to get out, but there was a car behind me. So I feel I was in the right with my spatial awareness, but clearly in the UK law I was wrong. So I failed.
So basically, you called manure on his call.
Yes. Yeah, I would have. Yeah, maybe if I was not a young 17-year-old man. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Appreciate
Cool.
you stopping by.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Love hearing the stories, and can't wait to see more of the watch collection as you add to it when you get that Rolex Submariner.
Yeah, exactly right. Sounds good.
All right, cool.
Man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, it seemed like in every class at Sebring, it was a barn burner until the finish. Epic runs throughout the 12 hours, and one of those classes was GTD. And Tom Gamble joining us now. Where are you, by the way, in the world?
Scottsdale, Arizona, my new home to the end of the season. So, yeah, exciting times.
So you've moved from the UK, at least temporarily, to a golfer's paradise, Scottsdale.
Yeah, I'm not too much of a golfer. That's probably something I need to get into because, yeah, I'm not quite utilizing the great facilities yet.
Well, we talked about what a barn burner it was at Sebring and all the classes, but especially GTD. And it came right down to the last lap in your class between the Aston Martin and the Ferrari. But before we get to that, I've got to tell you just what you do throughout the year, whether it's WEC, whether it's coming over in IMSA, going from one platform to another, the Valkyrie in WEC to the GT car in IMSA. Does that create a little bit of a challenge for you, or does that even make your edge, keep you on edge to get the most out of your racecraft?
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, they're obviously completely different cars. The lap times are a lot different. You see the GTPs in IMSA, north of 10 seconds faster at some tracks. And yeah, it's definitely a bit different, but I don't think it's any disadvantage at all. I think it's an advantage, to be honest, if anything, to keep kind of sharp. And I think, if you're racing, it's a benefit, really. Obviously, I really enjoy the IMSA racing. It's super exciting, as we all know. And then obviously WEC is a little bit of a different kettle of fish as well. It's a bit more kind of, you don't get the safety cars to kind of bring you together quite as much. So yeah, the racing's quite different, and the Vantage GTD in IMSA is a pleasure to drive, and obviously we've had some great results so far this season, and we've had some really strong pace. So yeah, it's been exciting. Obviously, like I say, they're quite different sort of things to drive, but no, it's good. I don't think it's any sort of negative at all. But no, and obviously we've got the first round of World Endurance Championship in a few weeks in Imola. So yeah, feeling ready for that.
Elio Castroneves told me he felt like when he came to IMSA and competed, that was like the final piece to the puzzle for him, because when he went back to win his fourth Indianapolis 500, being patient, but also being a great decision maker and not debating it in his head. And that's also what Felipe Nasser told me, that when he ran a season in the GT car with Pfaff, it really felt like it honed his skills so that when he got in the prototype, he knew how, when he's in the GT car, how you've got to think about, someone passing you, you're passing somebody else. And it really helps speed up his decision-making process. Do you see any of that? Do you feel any of that, jumping back and forth between the two different platforms?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something as well that I've kind of got much better at as I've competed more and more in IMSA. You see it a lot, especially in races like Daytona and Sebring. The races aren't won until right at the end. I mean, we saw a Sebring on the last lap. So yeah, it's you certainly have a bit of a different driving style, not kind of pushing right to that 100% until you need to. And the prototypes coming past you, you've kind of always got eyes in your mirrors, and you certainly leave them a lot more kind of room to come through earlier in the race. And then at the end, you have to sometimes be a bit selfish and sort of say you're not coming through this corner, because if you get someone can pass you at the wrong point in the lap, you can lose seconds. And as we know, seconds in IMSA are critical. So yeah, it's a lot different. And obviously when I do WEC, it's in the top class, so then it's kind of on the other end where I'm doing the overtaking and stuff like that. And yeah, it's it's definitely been a benefit. And like I said, it's something that I kind of just get better at every time. You do see some drivers getting quite ambitious early in the race, and I can't remember when the last safety car was in Sebring, but it was 20-30 minutes from the end, so you kind of always have a little bit of a chance as long as you stay with a clean car, and on that lead lap. You can always kind of fight right to the end of the race, so it's very important not to get kind of too excited, and put yourself in a bad position early in the race, because like I said, it's right at the end where it really matters.
Now, Roman told me when the GT program came about that he was going to be spending so much time in Arizona that it seemed like he needed to live there. And if you look at Charlotte, Matty Campbell lives in my neighborhood. You've got, Ben Barnicoat, you've got Jack Hawksworth. They've got places here. So it really helps cut down on the jet lag and the traveling going from race to race. So did you have to get a place that's furnished? How did you get your setup for your bachelor pad, at least until the end of the season?
Yeah, no, I spent a bit of time looking. But like you say, it's good to. Last year, obviously, I did most of the IMSA races. I couldn't do a couple that clashed with WEC, but I kind of wanted to be out here because it's closer to the races, and also obviously the team has a great facility of a simulator here and the workshops here, so kind of can be a bit more focused, and the level in kind of both WEC and IMSA just kind of goes up, it seems like, every year. So any kind of advantage you can give yourself is kind of critical. So yeah, I thought, why not? I'm still young. I don't have any really attachments at home, so I might as well just live out here for a little bit and see how it goes. So far it's nice. Obviously the weather's a lot better than the UK as well, which helps. So need to top up my tan a little bit. And no, I think no, it's going to be exciting. And like I say, the Heart Racing has an amazing sort of setup here, so it's great to be near that. And as you say, the jet lag and stuff can be a little bit annoying coming from the UK every time. So it's nice to not have that quite as bad when living here.
So when you're running WEC, and I had a long talk with Roman about this, because they have basically said that Ross can't drive. He can be navigator, but when he gets behind the wheel, they said that, they make sure that seatbelt's definitely buckled in because he can be a little scary. He stalled the rental car in Sebring. Now, that's not hard to do because you're thinking it was a stick shift. It was actually an automatic. And I don't know how you stall an automatic, but he stalled the automatic.
That sounds like Ross.
So have you had any unique experiences with Ross in rental cars over the past year?
No, I mean, normally if there's an option of getting in a car with someone else, you normally try and get in that one because your life insurance definitely goes up when you get in a car with Ross. But no, he's a good guy. It's great to be obviously driving with him in WEC. Normally Harry Tinknell, he's the designated driver for that. So yeah, the more we can keep Ross away from the wheel in a high car is the better. But no, it's lucky he's good on the track. That's all I'll say.
But talking to Roman and Ross and everybody, Zach, everybody, it just seems like the culture that has been put together with Aston Martin, the Heart of Racing, the Valkyrie program, the GT program, it just seems like it's such a special mix. True?
Yeah, it's crazy, really. I mean, we have a really good bond in the team. Obviously, we all work well together on track and then also off track. Yeah, we all get along very well. And I've got obviously Roman and Alex Riberas as well. They both live here, so it's good that I've got some friends nearby. But yeah, the relationship we all have off the tracks is mega, and it's something quite rare, really. I've been in teams in the past where can be a little bit not toxic, but sometimes some drivers you just don't quite bond with, and it certainly makes the race weekends a lot more enjoyable. And I think when you're enjoying yourself on a race weekend, it makes the job also a lot not only easier, but yeah, if you're happier, you just seem to drive faster. So yeah, I think we all get along very well, and it's I think what Ian James has done putting us all together is credit to him. He sees that we all get along well, and I think that's a big part of the team.
So before my daughter came along, I had a big group, and we were like the dinner club. It's like, all right, Tuesday, All right, let's get sushi. All right, Wednesday. Is that how it is with the little Aston Martin posse that have all thrown up stakes in Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, we went for a little pizza last night. It was my first night here, so that was the opening meal. So need to go for a little run after this podcast to burn that off. But yeah, it's we haven't got a structured sushi night yet and Italian night and so forth. But no, it's they know all the good spots around here, so they're kind of like my tour guides at the minute.
Well, 2 races are in the books, 3rd at Daytona, so you had a podium there, and then, I guess really a totally dramatic filled, event, 12 hours at Sebring. So you guys took home the BDO No Strategy Award, and we'll get to that final hour where basically you guys pushed all your chips in the center of the table. But walk us through your weekend at Sebring.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was great, really. I mean, Dudu did a phenomenal job in qualifying. I think we had a quick car in practice, and we had a strong result there last year as well with some good pace. So we knew coming into the weekend we were going to be up the sharp end, and we've got a really strong lineup as well. So yeah, we knew we could fight at the front, and the team always, they've demonstrated with where they finished in the championship, however many years now, always up the front. So we always kind of know we've got a good chance at kind of most of the races. And yeah, obviously qualifying, Dudu did an amazing job. He put it on pole and, was quicker than some, very good drivers. So that was amazing. And then, yeah, we were quite up and down actually in the race. Sometimes we were kind of outside the top 10, and we had one issue at one point that got resolved, and then yeah, we just kind of knew at the end we needed to be obviously up the front, and yeah, the obviously it was kind of all going to plan right until the end. I think, yeah, as I said earlier in the podcast, we tried our best to stay out of trouble. We had a clean car to fight for the win with, but the Ferrari was really quick. And to be honest, I thought they had it kind of wrapped up at one point, because he kind of came past me and I was like, he's too fast to kind of keep up with. So and then they got the drive through, and then I think the last safety car came out, and that was a bit annoying. And then kind of obviously got into the lead. And then next thing I saw this Ferrari coming in the mirror, and I was like, surely that can't be him after the drive through. And yeah, obviously it was under quite a lot of pressure. And then obviously on the last lap, I thought I kind of had enough of a gap actually to have it kind of sewn up, to be honest. And then went down into turn 10, I think it is. And yeah, didn't really do anything different to any lap before. I don't know if I kind of maybe got, because obviously all the prototypes were coming through to lap us, and I don't know if I got some pickup on the tires or what, but yeah, just lost the rear on the apex, and yeah, it was completely my fault really. But yeah, it was a bit of a devastating end to the race really, because everything had kind of gone so well up to that point. So yeah, it's kind of a feeling I've not really had before in racing, to come so close to winning such a big race and then losing it in the kind of right in the end. And yeah, it was a shame really, just to let kind of the team down and the hotter racing fans. But the positives, obviously we're still leading the championship. And I think if it would be a bit annoying if it comes to the end of the year and we miss out by a point or two, but let's hope that doesn't happen. Hopefully we can sew it up before that.
Walk us through that final lap, because he's going to try to take a stab at you somewhere. He's going to try to make a move. So when you go into the final lap, kind of walk me through, what you were thinking, where you thought he might take a shot at you.
Yeah, I mean, the Ferrari was very good on the brakes. Definitely, if there was an opportunity, and knowing what he's like as a driver, he's phenomenal. He's obviously won so much, and I knew he would take any chance he kind of, if I half gave him one. But as I said, I kind of, through luck of the GTPs coming through at the right places and stuff like that, kind of actually had a decent enough gap really. And then yeah, like I said, just one kind of slide of the rear, and he was there to sort of pounce and make it through. And Yeah, it was a tough one to take. I think the last corner as well, he was I can't remember, it was the second to last lap, he, almost had a dive down the inside and completely actually almost took me by surprise because of how late he was able to brake. But yeah, it was a tricky one. I mean, I thought I'd done enough, and then like I say, just to have it kind of taken away that late in the race is a frustrating one, but life goes on, I guess.
Well, in some racing series, it's easy just to put it in the mirror because the next week is your next race and you're able to compartmentalize. When you've got a little bit of a gap, are you a person that can compartmentalize and just move forward? Or do you sit back and overanalyze in a way every single ingredient of what took place in that situation? Which one are you? More of the overanalyze, or are you easily able to move forward?
I'd say I'm quite easy to move forward, really. It was just you just learn from it, really. I think that's the main thing. I'm still fairly young at 24, really, compared to some of the people I'm racing against. So, I'm fully, I know I've got stuff to learn still. The frustrating thing was I didn't really feel like I did that much different on that lap. That was the thing that was a bit annoying for me. But yeah, you just got to learn from it and take it forward. There was it was just frustrating to kind of get into that position and have such a good race, and then it's a feeling. It's quite hard to describe, really. I don't think there's too many drivers that have had something like that happen, and but like you say, you kind of think about it for a few nights after, and don't sleep too well, and then you kind of you start to just kind of get on with life. And if anything, it kind of determined you to just take it hard, to the next step and work harder, because I don't want that to ever happen again.
Well, you got a couple of races between now and Watkins Glen, which you guys won a year ago and was your very first IMSA WeatherTech victory. When you look at that day and that accomplishment, what do you look back on as like the fondest memory from Watkins Glen?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the best feelings is kind of seeing the team after a result like that. I think that was part of the devastation of Sebring, really just kind of not kind of pulling through for the team. I think at Watkins last year, obviously seeing them all super happy after the race is one of the best feelings ever. And normally being the one that finishes the races, there's a bit of pressure to kind of be that one that kind of performs when it matters. But yeah, obviously Watkins last year was a phenomenal race, and to take our first IMSA victory, I mean, winning an IMSA race is a big enough task as it is, and to win a race like that was amazing. And it's it would have been nice to add Sebring to the list and then slowly tick off all the other endurance ones. But hopefully I'll have a few more years at it, and a few more Sebrings, and we'll forget about this one.
Well, for sure. You're only 24 years old, and you talk about being relatively young for the sport. You started in karts in single digit, but how many years ahead of you was your brother George? Did he start racing before you did, and so it just became a family affair? How did that all work out?
Yeah, so my oldest brother George, he is 29 now. He's 30 in a few months, and he started go-karting a little bit before me, but he was probably started when he was 9 or 10, whereas I probably started when I was 6 or 7. And yeah, he kind of led the path a little bit. If there was sometimes a team that my dad put him with, and then he'd kind of be like, oh, that team probably is a little bit better, and then he'd put me with them when I was coming up. So I definitely had some better opportunities than he did. But yeah, I think he used a mechanic for me as well in go-karting, so I owe a lot of my career sort of to him, really, for the amount that he helped me when I was younger. And he's still a sort of big fan of what I do now, and he won Porsche Carrera Cup GB a few years ago, so he's quite handy himself behind the wheel, which is good. And then I've got a middle brother as well who's just started racing in the UK in Genettas, and he's going really well. He won his championship last year, so yeah, having three brothers that race is quite stressful for the parents, I think, but no, they really enjoy it.
Now, did your family come from a racing background, or basically you and George sort of started it with your dad?
Not really. No, my dad, he never really had the opportunities to do it when he was younger. And then I think, he really enjoys racing. He was actually more into motorbikes, if anything, when he was younger. But I think when he pitched the idea of racing motorbikes to my mum, I think it was
She shut it right
strong
down.
nerves. Yeah, exactly. So they can go on 4 wheels, but not two. But yeah, so he kind of always had a little bit of a passion for racing. And then yeah, as soon as he had some friends that worked at the local go-kart track to me, and then just as soon as we were kind of old enough, went down there and had a go. And then, as you say, the rest is history, and you kind of get the bug for it. And yeah, I think the long journey started from there.
I look at Nick Tandy's son, Fast Felix, and I've watched over the past couple of years here, his progression, starting where he started in karts, going up through the different levels and everything else. But also I look and see at the experiences and how he grows. And you talk about yourself, your brother, starting out in karts. It just seems to me that it helps speed up not only the learning curve of the craft, but even more so the maturity level, because you're experiencing so many kids. If you're 7, 8, or 9, you're experiencing what it feels like to not be good enough to win, to have to work hard, to put in the work ethic, to improve, to get a chance to get a podium. So it almost seems like, compared to other 7 or 8, 9-year-olds, you're going through so many life experiences that usually kids that are 10 years older start to experience around that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, Fast Felix. I got on with Nick quite well, fellow countryman, and actually, he was super nice to me after Sebring. Obviously, around the podium, I was a bit kind of disappointed, and he came over and had a word with me. I think we actually had a beer together. So yeah, he's a great guy, and I've got a lot of time for Nick. He's obviously achieved a lot, and I kind of look up to him actually quite a lot in this sport. And but yeah, like you say, some of the experiences you kind of go through, it's nothing that you can really compare to anything outside life. When I was at school, my friends, obviously none of them really raced, and like you say, you kind of you become a lot more mature a lot earlier in life, I think, as well, because your mechanics in karting are older, and all the people that you're hanging around with. So and you're doing interviews, stuff like this, and you kind of just end up maturing beyond your years, which is a great life skill. And yeah, I definitely think it's made me a better person being involved in racing, I think.
I was talking to Earl Bamber, and we were talking just about the old, Core Autosport days when they had the Porsche program, Bamthor, and everything else. And he was talking about being a teammate of Nick. And he said that Nick is the guy that he can put things in perspective for you. He's got, so much great life experience that a bad situation, he can put a good spin on it. And I said, so if you're going to go out to dinner, where would Nick usually suggest? He goes, "Oh, beer and wings. That would be Nick."
Hooters.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I think he loves the Hooters, but no, he's a great guy. I've got a lot of time for Nick. If you ever you need advice or anything from him, he's always there. So he's he's a really good guy.
Is there one life experience that you can look back on that you're like, wow, even now you'll go, that was a day that I really learned this, and I still remember it, whatever the situation might have been, to this day, and how it helped you grow, not only as a person, but also as a driver?
I think, there's been a few. I mean, especially since going into car racing, I think, in go-karting, there's kind of things that happen. And yeah, I mean, little mistakes. The good thing is now, I think, I was thinking actually after Sebring, kind of what happened on the last lap, felt like personally I dealt with that a lot better than I would have, 3 or 4 years ago. You know, Probably would have been quite distraught for a while after that. But, now you kind of learn to just deal with it, and you almost kind of, when bad situations happen, you kind of just almost, the more they happen, the more you kind of just, yeah, you can deal with them better. And some of these drivers that are a lot more experienced than me have kind of been through all of this, so they they know what it's like. And as I said earlier, I'm still quite young and kind of getting better at dealing with them situations. One sort of standout thing actually when I was younger was when I was in single seaters, I won the McLaren Autosport BRDC award, and kind of thought that I might kind of get a bit more up the single seater ladder at that point after winning that award. And then I remember a few days after, I was kind of just sat there waiting for the phone to ring, and not one person kind of came through from single seaters. And that was a bit of a tough moment, really, because then I switched over to endurance racing. And when you're young, you kind of always want that Formula One dream, and kind of quickly realizing that actually that's not possible at all unless you've obviously got the crazy funding to kind of get there. So that was a tricky one, and at the time I was quite disappointed with it, but looking back now, it was the best thing that really happened coming over to endurance racing. I'm very lucky to be able to call this a job, and try not to take it for granted, really, because I know a lot of people out there would kind of kill to be in my position.
Well, it's well known how busy Renger van der Zande is with all his side businesses outside of racing that also involve racing. And Nick Yelloly, earlier in the show, he showed us his color coordinated calendar and how all the different projects that he's got going on, each is coordinated with a color and his calendar. I mean, it looked like a box of Crayola crayons. When you look at your normal monthly calendar, what all do you have going on in Tom's life?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's changed a little bit now moving here. I used to so as soon as I left school, and racing wasn't a career yet, I wasn't getting paid to do it. I worked for my dad selling cars and vans, so I used to do that quite a lot, and I still do that in the UK, really, until I've now just moved over here, and I'm still going to try and somehow work out how to do it. But yeah, I used to have a little bit of that on the side. I used to work for Mercedes F1 as a simulator driver as well, which used to keep me busy. And then obviously doing WEC and IMSA is quite a sort of intense program, and then having the simulator here now in Arizona, I'll be spending most of my time there, really, helping the team improve with the car, and obviously taking the next steps for the future with the team. But yeah, it's quite busy, and too much just keeping fit is also a massive thing. Training, I quite like to kind of throw myself into that. So yeah, trying to give myself the best opportunity possible, really, to be the best I can.
Well, they say it's a dry heat out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly feels like a heat, that's for sure, but I'm not sure which one. But yeah, body's going to take a bit of adapting, but I think it's actually quite good, really. I mean, especially once we get into the summer of IMSA and stuff, and the races are very hot. I think living in a hot country is probably, a bit of an advantage, really. Yeah, obviously it gets quite hot inside them cars, so.
Well, I'll tell you a story. So the late Bobby Allison, who was a NASCAR Hall of Famer, he lived in Birmingham, Alabama, Hueytown, just outside of Birmingham. During the summer, to help acclimate his body to the heat, he would drive around town with his windows rolled up and the heater on. That way his body was just so acclimated to it. So everything should be perfect with you living in Arizona. So let me ask you this. You talked about the simulator. Work us through as far as the process of a normal day at the simulator, especially with your mates there. How often do you think you're going to get per week time behind the wheel in the sim?
It's we don't normally go there together, really. And actually me, Roman and Alex don't share the car in any series, really. Obviously with Ross, I share it in WEC, and if Dudu is here and Zach, then we'll probably go in together. But it kind of depends on the program, really. Some stuff is development for future setups and stuff like that they can try on the simulator, and before they put it on the actual car, they can see if it works better in the sim, which is very helpful. And how much it is to run a race car for a day. It saves quite a bit of money on that side of things as well. So the team are pushing quite hard to make the simulator as close as possible to the actual real thing. And then anything we kind of try on the simulator, if it works, then we go ahead and try it on the car. And most of the time, to be fair, you kind of find that actually then things do kind of, come through as well. And then also, just even, learning new tracks. Actually, I'm going to Laguna obviously soon for IMSA, and that's my first time there because I missed that one last year with a clash. So there I'll be obviously learning the circuit, and it's good to have that just around the corner to just drive round and round. And then when you arrive there, you kind of a little bit more on the money than what you would be if you just arrived without ever seeing where the track goes in your life. And it helps that you can learn a lot of consistency as well. just doing laps and laps, you kind of you get into a groove, and consistency is obviously critical in endurance racing. So yeah, it's certainly helpful. The team have got a amazing facility, so it's great to have that now right around the corner, and sort of be able to maximize that.
You talk about Ross, you talk especially about what Roman's done with the GT program through the years. Yes, setups change, BOPs change. Is your driving style similar to what theirs were when they were behind the wheel in the GT program?
Yeah, definitely. We all kind of actually have quite a similar style, to be honest. Which if there's a fast car for one of us, it normally works for all of us. And yeah, I think when they kind of moved from the GT program to the Valkyrie program, obviously the GT was with the new Vantage Evo, and I can't remember if they did 1 year or two of it, but they're always kind of finding new stuff with that car and maximizing the performance of it. So yeah, there's definitely little bits of setup to find with that, and obviously the Valkyrie as well is a completely new kind of project, so that's certainly taking steps every time, really. So yeah, I'd definitely say it's a little bit more on the Valkyrie side at the minute, really on the simulator, just kind of really learning what we can with that and trying to make it as as beneficial as possible to the the real life racing, should we say.
So third at Daytona, second at Sebring, P1 in the championship right now with a 50-point lead. Does it feel like everything has gelled so nicely, but yet there's a long runway still left that you guys can improve on certain things to keep on digging and try to pad that championship point lead?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the championship's so competitive, and obviously Winwood having a DNF at Sebring was good for our championship, but I know for a fact that they'll be sort of knocking on the door at some point. They always seem to end up right at the front, and the level is just super high this year. And yeah, we've got
They've been
they've
been the king of that class for the past couple of years. So the start you guys have had, I mean, that's really taking the club to the fight.
Yeah, exactly. And I think last year at times, we looked like we were challenging, and had a few unfortunate races and stuff like that. And yeah, I think Phil's obviously Ellis has done IMSA for a bit longer than me, so maybe he's he has a couple more kind of tricks up his sleeve to be there at the end of the race. And I feel like I'm just kind of getting better with each race, which is really good. So yeah, I don't see why we can't bring the fight this year. I mean, I can't think of one race really last year where we really struggled a lot for pace. So I think we've certainly got the tools to do the job. We just need to you've just got to keep it clean, really. We saw with Winwood actually what a DNF can do to the championship. So yeah, kind of got to keep it clean and keep chipping away, really. I can't really fight for the drivers' championship, obviously being missing 2 rounds. So my goal is obviously to give Dudu the best chance he can to win the championship, and also help the team win that. And yeah, it'd be great to see that, and I've got a very good feeling that I think this year we can do it. So fingers crossed.
So back to one of your side hustles, selling cars. Now, so did it say on your business card, Tom Gamble, car salesman? Were you a great closer? Tell us about how prolific you were trying to get that deal done and get a car off the lot.
Yeah, I think maybe with my personality, a bit of a good closer, could be a little bit aggressive sometimes, and yeah, get that deal over the line. But yeah, I've obviously kind of slowly taken steps back from that as my racing's kind of taken over a little bit more. I still go in and help from time to time my dad if I get a little bit bored at home, but fortunately now I don't have to do that, because he'd have me driving all around the country collecting vehicles for him, which was sometimes quite tiring. If yeah, I'm going up to Scotland and stuff, which was a long way away. But no, it was cool to do, actually. Kind of was it was good that I had a real job, I think, to experience that a little bit. Obviously car racing is quite a cool job and quite different to anyone, so it was good to, as soon as I left school, kind of do that and learn the ropes of that a little bit. And work around cars as well, which now I obviously drive, so it was quite fun.
So was it new cars, used cars? What kind of lot did he have?
Used cars, and to be honest, mainly more vans now. So Yeah, I used to love selling Ford Transits and Volkswagen Transporters and stuff. So yeah, it was a funny time, and yeah, I've still got some vans now, but it's quite hard to kind of deal with them on the other side of the world.
Well, you've got a whole nother fan base, a whole nother base here that you could maybe, start pushing used cars to as well. So
Yeah, I might have to start a dealership in Scottsdale.
there you go. Tom Gamble's used cars, downtown
Yeah.
Scottsdale. Ferraris next door, Aston Martins to the
Yeah.
right. And we've got some good used vans for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that started, and we'll put the link in.
So going back, and we always love our final two questions. Number one, you ever seen the movie with Bill Murray, Groundhog Day?
No, I haven't actually. I've heard a
See?
lot about it, but I haven't.
See, this is what I'm going to do. For everyone that's new to IMSA from Europe or South America, I'm going to put together a movie list that are must views to learn even more about crazy American culture. And so Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, he relives the same day over and over again, improving it each time to where it's exactly how he wants it to end. If there was a race day or some day in your life that you would love to experience it again for the first time, like you had never experienced it, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I mean, Watkins was up there last year, definitely. I think, yeah, do you know what? I'd probably put that right up there. I definitely think it was one I could redo and go back and start again. Would be Sebring and do it slightly differently, but yeah, I think Watkins was up there. Getting the first win in IMSA is quite a special feeling. I think prior to that, yeah, it'd be a tough one actually. I mean, had some good European Le Mans Series races in LMP2, winning the first race, and that was a really good feeling. But yeah, I don't know really. I think yeah, when European Le Mans Series in LMP3 as well, that was the championship in that was a great feeling. But I think, yeah, to us, I think Watkins sticks out. That was actually like my first GT win, I think, ever, which is really weird. How it took me so long to get a GT win. So yeah, I had some wins in prototypes, but it was kind of like a bit of a, what would you call it? A thingy on my shoulder. I couldn't get the GT winning, and then finally got it in Watkins. I was like, Jesus, that's taken a lot longer than it should have. So yeah, that was a great day, and hopefully there's many more of them to come. I think there's a lot more races in IMSA I want to tick off and win, and also in the World Endurance Championship as well. So yeah, the future's hopefully looking good.
So I'll just be straight up. I can neither confirm nor deny that I spent a lot of time on the road before I turned 16 and got my license. For you, the fact your dad at a used car lot, did you partake in any underage driving before you got your legal license? And what was your first car that you had once you finally had a legal license to drive on the road?
Well, to be honest, no, I didn't really do any illegal driving. I mean, he used to have it's quite a funny story. He used to have like part exchanges come in at work, and some of them were pretty much scrap cars. And we had a field at home, so me and my two brothers would be racing these basically scrap cars around the field, which was quite fun. So that's kind of where we learned a bit of racecraft, and yeah, most of them would end up broken down in the corner on fire. So yeah, that was a funny time. But no, I never really did too much. No, I don't think I did any underage driving. I think I'd get in a lot of trouble if I got caught for that. So never did that. But I did get forced to take my license pretty much soon as I turned 17, with which I actually did fail once, but we won't go into that.
Oh no, let's go into that, because I'm going to tell you, Nick Yelloly earlier told us he basically had a little bit of an issue when he tried getting his license due to a horse trailer. So what was your story?
Well, the story was I think it's a bit more of a difficult task in the UK than it is in the USA to get your license. So we'll just get that out there first. So I took my theory test on my birthday, so like the online exam, and passed that, and then there was like a cancellation 2 days after my birthday to take my test. And
Oh,
I
it's
didn't have any
always the
lessons.
road test that gets you. The book test,
Yeah, and
everyone
it
seems
was
to ace.
yeah, and normally, obviously, most sort of students, I think, have, a few months of lessons before they take the license. And I think the examiner looked at mine and so I was like, this guy's a bit ambitious taking his license so soon. And I pulled up to a stop sign, and I obviously was just kind of giving it the look, and then it didn't actually come to a complete stop. So yeah, I got back to the exam center. It was like, oh, you didn't stop at that stop sign. To which I had, I think, about a 20-minute argument with the person saying, no, I did definitely stop. And he was like, no, you did not. I was like, whatever. So then, yeah, I had to redo it again. Luckily, I passed the second time. And then actually the day after I passed my test, my dad was working me, all around the country to go and collect vehicles for his dealership. So no, it was a good time. Yeah, and no, I actually always wanted to take a few other licenses, but kind of never really got around to them. I always wanted to take my HGV, which is like the truck license, but because my dad has that, and yeah, he always said to me, you'll never be out of work if you have your HGV. So I was always going to take it, but never really got around to it.
See, like over here, we call it the CDL, and I always thought it'd be cool to get a CDL so I can drive a semi truck. And back in the
Yeah.
days of Moving On or BJ and the Bear, you name it, Smoking the Bandit. So, well,
Yeah.
Tom, I can't thank you enough for coming by and sharing
Thank
some of
you.
your great stories. The BDO No Strategy Award winner, hanging on there for a great P2 at Sebring, you and Dudu and the gang, and can't wait to catch up with you down the road and talk even more about, we've got to see a business card. You've got to dig out a business card because we got to see Tom Gamble, used car salesman.
I might go, and that's my afternoon's project. I'm going to go and get some manufacturers for you.
All right,
But a
Tom.
list of all my jobs. All
There
right,
you
thank
go.
you very much for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom, for
Appreciate it.
stopping by.
All right, mate. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, what a fun episode. Nick Yelloly, can't thank him enough for stopping by, as well as Tom Gamble. It seems like it's a common thread. 2 times is the charm to get your license, no matter where it is that you grow up. So we appreciate those guys, but we also appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us and hearing some really cool stories along the way. Don't forget to hit subscribe, because there's so much great content across the entire spectrum of IMSA WeatherTech Racing on the IMSA YouTube channel. Also Spotify and Apple. You can catch us all 3 destinations. Until next time, I'm Matt Yocum for the entire gang here at the IMSA Endurance Hour podcast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the track.